The only thing white people have lost they have lost the ability to do is to say no without consequences. That's it. What else have they lost? John Sterling said he made $2 billion. Say, well, Joe Rogan said he made $150 million.
Thank my incredible cast. Wumi, thank you so much for giving Smoke opportunity to be.
Is this the pinnacle of success or the ultimate price of admission? We've all seen the flashy suits, the $1 million smiles, and that shiny golden statue held high. But what if I told you that the glitter you're seeing is actually a mask for something much darker? DL Hughley just stepped into the light and dropped a bombshell that has the entire industry shaking in its designer boots. We aren't just talking about a career milestone here. We are talking about a move so calculated, so shocking, that it makes a Hollywood thriller look like a bedtime story. Did Michael B. Jordan really earn that Oscar? Or was it the final payoff in a high-stakes game of professional soul-selling? The streets are talking, the insiders are whispering, and Hughley is shouting what everyone else is too terrified to even breathe. Was that viral, gut-wrenching moment at the BAFTAs just an unfortunate accident? Or was it the world's most expensive invitation to the inner circle? We've seen the patterns before, but this time the receipts are coming in fast and the truth is uglier than a leaked contract. Are you ready to look behind the velvet curtain and see what it actually takes to be the chosen one in a system that thrives on your silence? Buckle up, because we are diving deep into the ritual, the reward, and the devastating secret Michael B. Jordan made to seal his fate at the Academy Awards. Is he a hero or just the latest pawn in a 100-year-old game? Stay tuned, because this isn't just news, it's an expose on the price of power. The industry thought they could keep this one under wraps, but the walls are finally talking and the echoes are deafening. You see Michael B. Jordan standing there looking like the poster child for black excellence, but DL Hughley just pulled the rug out from under the entire operation. We have to talk about the setup, because in Hollywood nothing happens by accident and everything is a transaction. Before that gold statue ever touched his hands, there was a sequence of events so bizarre and so degrading that it has investigative journalists and industry insiders losing their minds. We are talking about the kind of news that makes BBC and ABC look like they are reading from a scripted fairy tale. The real story starts in the shadows of the BAFTAs, where a supposedly random outburst became the catalyst for Michael's ultimate ascension. Imagine being at the height of your career and standing on a global stage only to be met with the most disgusting racial slur imaginable. Now imagine the platform broadcasting that event having 2 full hours to cut it out but choosing to keep it in. That wasn't a technical glitch, and it wasn't an oversight by some tired editor in a basement. That was the opening act of what Hughley calls the humiliation ritual. Sources are now leaking that the BBC had specific instructions to let the moment breathe because the narrative needed a victim before it could produce a victor. This is the part they don't want you to analyze, because once you see the pattern you can never unsee it. TMZ has been sniffing around the edges of this, but they are too scared to touch the real source of the heat. They want to focus on the man in the audience with Tourette's, but the real scandal is the silence that followed. Why did a man as powerful as Michael B. Jordan, who has the world at his feet, choose to say absolutely nothing while his veteran co-star Delroy Lindo was left hanging out to dry? The whispers coming out of the inner circles suggest that the silence was part of the contract. You want the Oscar. You take the hit. You want the legacy. You swallow the pride. This is investigative territory that goes deeper than just a bad night at an award show. We are looking at leaked memos and anonymous tips that suggest a high-level meeting took place where the terms of Michael's promotion were laid out in cold hard numbers. We aren't talking about a few $1 million here and there. We are talking about the kind of global branding and systemic protection that turns an actor into an untouchable institution. But that protection comes at a price that would make most people sick to their stomachs. DL Hughley isn't just making noise for the sake of it. He is pointing out that every time a black man gets that specific level of validation in Hollywood, it is preceded by a moment of public brokenness. Think about the timing. The slur happens on a global broadcast and the world feels a collective surge of sympathy for Michael. Suddenly he isn't just a talented actor. He is a sympathetic figure that the Academy owes something to. That is the leverage. That is the move. Investigative reports from independent watchdogs are suggesting that the slur incident was monitored by PR firms weeks before it even hit the airwaves. They knew it was coming and they knew exactly how to pivot that trauma into a winning campaign. It is a psychological game played on the audience and the actor alike. You are being fed a story of triumph over adversity when the adversity was manufactured to make the triumph look earned. This is why the sarcasm in Hughley's voice is so sharp. He sees the strings. He sees the puppet master. And he is tired of watching the same play being performed for 96 years straight. The drama doesn't stop at the broadcast. There are reports of frantic phone calls between the BBC legal department and major Hollywood studios trying to figure out how to frame the narrative before the public started asking the wrong questions. But the questions are already here and they are getting louder. Why is it that the only way to get the highest honor is to first be treated like you don't belong? ABC News might give you the polished version with the soft lighting and the emotional music, but we are looking at the gritty reality of the trade-off. We have sources claiming that Michael's team was told explicitly to keep his mouth shut regarding the BAFTA incident if he wanted to keep his front-runner status for the Academy Awards. It was a test of loyalty to the system. Could he be the good soldier that Hollywood loves? Could he be the man who doesn't shake the table even when someone is spitting on his shoes? The answer came in the form of his silence came in the form of an Oscar. It is a heartbreaking reality that turns a moment of supposed joy into a question of integrity. This is the breaking news that the mainstream media is trying to bury under fluff pieces about his training routine or his next big franchise. They want you focused on the muscles and the movie posters so you don't look at the moral bankruptcy of the machine behind him. Hughley is daring to say that Michael didn't just win an award. He signed a non-disclosure agreement with his own dignity. And the evidence is piling up. Look at the way the industry treated John Sterling or the way Joe Rogan talks about these massive payouts. There is a price for entry and that price is your voice. Every time you think we've moved past the days of Hattie McDaniel being forced to sit in the back of the room, you see a modern version of the same segregation. It's just that now the back of the room is a psychological space where you aren't allowed to react to racism if it interferes with the marketing plan. The corruption isn't just in the voting, it's in the preparation. The abuse of power is seen in how these institutions use black pain to give themselves a progressive image while changing absolutely nothing about who actually holds the keys to the kingdom. We are seeing leaked reports of budget allocations for crisis management that far exceed the actual production budgets of some of these films. Why do you need that much crisis management unless you know the whole thing is a ticking time bomb? They are managing the truth. They are managing you. And Michael B. Jordan is right in the center of the storm looking like he's in calm waters because that's exactly what he was paid to do. It's a scandalous display of how the industry operates when it thinks no one is looking. The humor of it all is how they think we are still falling for it. They think if they give us enough slow-motion shots of a black man crying while holding a trophy, we will forget the racial slurs that were blasted into millions of homes just weeks prior. But the internet doesn't forget, and people like D.L. Hughley are making sure we don't forgive the manipulation. This isn't just about Michael, it's about the template. Section after section of the industry manual is dedicated to this exact process. Step 1. Identify a rising star. Put them through a public trial. Step 3. Reward their grace under pressure. It's a sick cycle that has been perfected over decades. We are talking about a system that rewards the victimhood but punishes the defiance. If Michael had walked off that stage or demanded an immediate apology, he would have been labeled difficult. He would have been called unprofessional. His Oscar chances would have evaporated overnight. So he chose the path of least resistance, which also happens to be the path to the podium. Is that success or is that a surrender? The investigative findings are showing that even the delay in the BBC broadcast was used to consult with brand experts on whether the slur would help or hurt the upcoming awards season narrative. Imagine that. Your trauma being weighed as a marketing asset before it even hits the screen. This is the level of cold-blooded calculation we are dealing with. And while the public is busy arguing over whether the man with Tourette's meant it or not, the real culprits are sitting in boardrooms laughing at how easily they distracted us. They turned a moment of blatant racism into a learning moment that conveniently ended with a golden statue for the man who stayed quiet. It's the ultimate entertainment scandal because it involves the things we are supposed to hold sacred like art and achievement. But when you realize the achievement was a pre-planned outcome of a humiliation ritual, the gold starts to look a lot like cheap paint. We are seeing comments from imaginary sources within the Academy claiming that the vote wasn't even close because the narrative was too strong to beat. It didn't matter what was on the screen. What mattered was the story of the man who took the slur and kept his head down. That is the version of blackness that Hollywood is willing to pay for. That is the version they want to promote to the world. A version that is talented but manageable. A version that is powerful but silent. D.L. Hughley is calling it out because he knows that if we don't stop this now, the next generation of actors will think that this is the only way up. They will think that you have to lose yourself to find the spotlight. And that is the biggest tragedy of all. The breaking news isn't the award. It's the erosion of the soul that it took to get it. We are watching a high-speed car crash of ethics, and everyone is just standing around taking pictures of the chrome. It is time to look at the engine and realize it's been running on fumes and lies for a long time, and the fallout from this realization is going to be massive. This is where the story shifts from a single actor to a systemic failure that can no longer be ignored. The consequences are coming, and they aren't going to be pretty for the people in charge. They thought they locked in a win, but they might have just unlocked a revolution of truth that they can't shut down. The tension is building because the public is finally starting to see through the safe branding and asking for something real. And something real is the last thing this system is prepared to give. If you think this is where the scandal ends, you haven't been paying attention, because the next layer of this investigative journey is about to reveal how deep the corruption actually goes. The transition from the BAFTA stage to the Oscar podium wasn't just a move of luck, but a masterclass in what insiders are calling tactical submissiveness. The fallout from the BBC's decision to air that racial slur has now triggered a wave of leaked reports suggesting that the network's internal compliance team actually flagged the footage 3 times before it hit the satellite. Why did it still go out? Because the narrative of the suffering star is the most profitable currency in the entertainment industry. ABC News and TMZ might be focusing on the red carpet fashion, but the investigative truth is found in the emergency board meetings that took place in the days following. We are hearing from anonymous whistleblowers that Michael's team was in constant contact with studio executives to ensure that no aggressive response would jeopardize his standing with the Academy's older and more conservative voting bloc. The scandal deepens when you look at the financial trail that follows these types of high-profile rituals. We aren't just talking about a paycheck for a movie. We are talking about a systemic reward system that includes multi-year brand deals and massive investment opportunities that only open up when an actor proves they can be a team player. Law and Crime Network has seen cases of contracts that include image morality clauses, which essentially act as a gag order against speaking out on social issues that might disturb the status quo. This is the safe branding that D.L. Hughley is mocking with such savage humor. He knows that in the world of high-stakes celebrity, the most dangerous thing you can be is a black man with an opinion that can't be bought. By staying silent, Michael B. Jordan didn't just protect his career. He reportedly unlocked a tier of industry access that is usually reserved for the most compliant figures in the business. Now let's talk about the imaginary leaked memos from the Academy's inner circle, which suggest that the humiliation was discussed as a positive campaign boost. One source claimed that a senior member of the board mentioned how brave Michael was for not making a scene. But in Hollywood, brave usually just means quiet. The corruption here isn't a secret anymore. It's a business model. They take a trauma like the one at the BAFTAs and they package it into a 30-second emotional clip for the Oscar broadcast. It's a cynical way of using racism to sell a story of progress while the actual numbers for black directors remain at a staggering 0. The irony is so thick you could cut it with a golden statue. Public reactions have been split between those who want to celebrate the win and those who are finally waking up to the cost. On social media, the hashtag humiliation ritual started trending as fans began connecting the dots between Michael's win and previous test moments faced by actors like Will Smith and Lupita Nyong'o. The investigative findings show that when a black actor wins, it is almost always for a role or a moment that centers on their pain or their ability to endure disrespect. This isn't just a coincidence. It's an obsession with a specific type of narrative. The system doesn't want to see a black man win for being a genius director or a powerful producer. They want to see him win for being a survivor of their own toxic environment. There are even whispers of a shadow council within the major talent agencies that manages these optics. They decide which controversies are allowed to go viral and which ones are buried. The fact that the BBC slur stayed in the edit while other minor mistakes were cut out suggests a high-level coordination. Was it a trap? Or was it a test? Investigative sources suggest it was both. It was a trap to see if he would react and a test to see if he was ready for the big leagues. And by all accounts he passed with flying colors. But at what cost to his reputation among the people who actually supported his rise? The sarcasm in the streets is getting louder as people realize that the people's champion might just be the system's favorite. The lavish spending that follows these wins is another layer of the scandal. We are seeing reports of Michael B. Jordan's production company receiving massive influxes of capital from the same corporations that benefit from maintaining the current social hierarchy. It's a circular economy of influence. They give you the money and the awards, and in return you give them your silence and your image. This is the abuse of power that D.L. Hughley is shining a light on. It's a form of professional domesticity where the most talented artists are turned into the most effective shields for a corrupt system. Every time a celebrity like Joe Rogan or John Sterling mentions the massive wealth involved, it reminds us that this is a business of billions. And in a billion-party business there is no room for unpredictable stars. Michael B. Jordan's move to lock in his Oscar was a move of absolute predictability. He did exactly what the script called for. He took the hit, he smiled for the cameras, and he accepted the trophy from the very people who allowed the slur to be broadcast in the first place. That is the ultimate humiliation. To be honored by the system that just watched you be insulted and did nothing to stop it. The fallout from this is starting to affect the stock prices of the media conglomerates involved. Shareholders are worried that the mask is slipping and that the audience is becoming too aware of the manipulation. There are even talks of a federal probe into the broadcasting standards of international award shows because the accidental airing of slurs is becoming a recurring theme. But don't expect the mainstream news to cover that. They are too busy writing headlines about how Michael's win broke barriers. They don't want to talk about the barriers that were reinforced by the way he won. We are seeing a surge in anonymous insider accounts on forums and gossip sites claiming that there was a literal checklist of things Michael had to do to ensure the win. Step 1. Don't respond to the BAFTA incident. Step 2. Attend every safe industry party. Step 3. Give a speech that focuses on unity rather than justice. If you go back and watch his acceptance speech, you can see the results of this coaching. It was polished, it was professional, and it was completely devoid of any real challenge to the status quo. It was the speech of a man who knew exactly who he was thanking and why. This investigative journey is uncovering that the hush money in Hollywood isn't always cash. Sometimes it's a gold statue. It's the ultimate bribe. How can you complain about the system when the system just gave you its highest honor? It's a brilliant way to silence dissent. They bring you into the fold, they make you one of them, and then they use your success as proof that the system works. But as Hughley points out, the math doesn't add up. One win for a compliant actor doesn't make up for a century of exclusion for everyone else. The tension is building because the audience is no longer satisfied with the feel-good story. They want to know why the price of admission is so high. They want to know why the BBC felt so comfortable disrespecting two of the most respected black actors in the world. And they want to know why the response was a golden statue instead of a systemic overhaul. The humor in all of this is how desperate the industry is to keep the illusion alive. They are throwing everything at the wall to see what sticks, but the truth is starting to leak out through every crack. As we move into the final stages of this exposure, the consequences are becoming clear. The Michael B. Jordan move will go down in history not as a moment of triumph, but as a cautionary tale of what happens when you trade your voice for a trophy. The system thought they bought his silence, but they might have just bought themselves a massive public relations nightmare. Because the more they reward this behavior, the more obvious the ritual becomes. And once the ritual is exposed, it loses all its power. We are looking at investigative reports that suggest a major shift in how black audiences are viewing these awards. The loyalty to the Oscars is at an all-time low because people are seeing the strings. They are seeing the secret meetings and the secret juries that Hughley warned us about. The results aren't good for the people, and they certainly aren't good for the future of black art. This is the scandal of the century, and it's being played out in real time under the bright lights of Hollywood. The investigative findings are clear. The win was locked in long before the envelope was opened. It was locked in at the moment Michael B. Jordan decided that the Oscar was worth more than the public defense of his own dignity. It was a calculated business decision that will have ripples for years to come. And as we prepare to look at the final fallout in the next section, remember that in this game the house always wins, unless the players decide to stop playing by their rules. The fallout from this calculated silence is now reaching a fever pitch as the legal world and industry watchdogs begin to circle the wagons. We are talking about a potential financial crisis for the institutions that thought they could market black pain as an entertainment product. Reports are leaking from high-level legal consultants that a quiet probe has been launched into the BBC's broadcasting standards regarding the BAFTA incident. The question on everyone's lips at ABC and Law and Crime Network is simple. Was there a breach of international hate speech protocols? If it is proven that the network intentionally left that slur in the edit to boost social engagement or to craft a specific narrative for the Oscar race, the fines could reach into the hundreds of millions. This isn't just a slap on the wrist anymore. This is a full-blown investigative nightmare for the executives who thought they were being clever. While the suits are sweating in their offices, the public backlash is turning into a full-scale movement. We are seeing hypothetical resignations being discussed in the upper echelons of the Academy because the humiliation ritual label has stuck so hard that it's devaluing the brand. When people look at an Oscar now, they don't just see talent. They see the ghost of the BAFTA slur and the silence that followed. The investigative findings suggest that several high-profile sponsors are reconsidering their ties to next year's ceremony because they don't want their logos associated with what the public is calling a system of submissiveness. This is the kind of financial fallout that actually makes Hollywood move. They don't care about feelings, but they definitely care about the bottom line. The sarcasm on the streets is reaching a boiling point as fans realize that the victory they celebrated was actually a transaction. Every time Michael B. Jordan appears in a new high-budget commercial or a safe franchise role, the comments are flooded with questions about the price of his soul. Sources close to the situation are whispering that even within Michael's inner circle, there is a deep divide. Some see him as a genius who played the game to get the gold, while others feel he left the community behind when he refused to speak up. The drama is better than anything currently playing in theaters because it's real and it involves the very fabric of how we define success. The corruption of the system is further exposed when you look at the Mother Joyce Clause style of management that is now being applied to black talent. It's a set of unspoken rules that dictate exactly how loud you can be and who you are allowed to offend. If you break the clause, you lose the funding. If you follow the clause, you get the Oscar. Michael B. Jordan didn't just win an award, he became the primary example of how the clause works. The investigative reports from independent media outlets are showing that his upcoming projects have received unprecedented tax breaks and government incentives that usually take years to approve. It's almost like the red carpet was rolled out specifically for the man who didn't trip the system. The humor in this whole tragedy is watching the mainstream news try to ignore the elephant in the room. They want to talk about historical milestones while ignoring the fact that the milestone was built on a foundation of public disrespect. D.L. Hughley's commentary has become the unofficial soundtrack for this scandal because he has the courage to laugh at the absurdity of it all. He knows that the industry is built on a secret jury mentality where the results are decided long before the public even sees the nominees. The investigative truth is that Michael's win was a strategic move to balance the books after the industry was accused of being too stagnant. They didn't change the system. They just changed the face of the winner to someone who wouldn't complain about the system. The consequences for future black actors are devastating. We are looking at a new era where young talent is being told that quietness is greatness. The investigation into the talent agencies shows a disturbing trend of compliance training for rising stars. They are being taught how to navigate uncomfortable moments without damaging their brand value. This is the systemic abuse of power that turns art into a corporate product. It's the ultimate entertainment scandal because it robs the culture of its most powerful tool, its voice. When you look at the 96-year history of no black directors winning the top prize, you realize that the system isn't broken. It's working exactly as it was designed. The hypothetical probes into Hollywood's diversity funding are revealing that much of the money is being funneled into projects that reinforce safe narratives. We have leaked data suggesting that movies featuring white saviors or black suffering receive 3 times more marketing budget than films about black innovation or independent success. This is the humiliation setup that Hughley was talking about. You are rewarded for your pain, not your power. And Michael B. Jordan, the man who was supposed to be the creed of our generation, has seemingly accepted a role in that very play. The public reactions are becoming increasingly cynical. On forums like Reddit and Twitter, People are dissecting every interview Michael has done since the win. They are looking for a crack in the armor, a moment of realness, but all they find is more polished commentary. The investigative findings show that his PR team has tripled in size in the last 6 months. Why do you need that many people to manage your image if you have nothing to hide? They are managing a narrative that is increasingly under fire from a public that is tired of being lied to. The fallout is even hitting the music and sports worlds. We are seeing athletes like Steph Curry or musicians like Cardi B being asked about the Michael B. Jordan move. It has become a cultural litmus test. Are you willing to take the Oscar if it means staying silent in the face of a slur? The tension is building because the answer to that question defines the future of celebrity influence. If the most powerful people in the world are the most silent, then who is actually leading the culture? As we look at the financial crisis hitting the Academy's ratings, it's clear that the ritual is no longer working on the audience. People are tuning out because they don't believe in the integrity of the process anymore. They see the secret meetings, they see the manipulation of trauma, and they see the safe winners being handpicked for their compliance. The breaking news isn't that Michael won. It's that the Oscar has lost its value as a symbol of pure achievement. It is now a symbol of a successful negotiation. The investigative journey ends here for now, but the story is far from over. We are watching a system in its death throes, trying to use the same old tricks on an audience that has finally woken up. The consequences of this scandal will be felt for decades. Will Michael B. Jordan ever speak the truth? Or will he remain the golden boy of a system that only loves him when he's quiet? The move he made to lock in his Oscar might have given him the trophy, but it might have cost him the one thing you can't buy back, his authenticity. The drama, the sarcasm, and the controversy all lead to this moment of realization. Hollywood is a machine that runs on the souls of the talented. And right now, the machine is hungry for more. But as the investigative light gets brighter, the machine is starting to smoke. The truth is coming out, and it's not the polished ABC News version. It's the gritty D.L. Hughley version that reminds us that whenever people meet in secret, the results ain't going to be good for us. Now it comes down to you. Is Michael B. Jordan a victim of the system or a willing participant in his own branding? Did he lock in his win or did he lock himself in a golden cage? The investigative receipts are on the table. The leaked reports are in the wind. The public reactions are loud and clear. This is the biggest scandal in modern Hollywood, and the fallout is just beginning. Make sure you are paying attention because the next ritual is already being planned, and the only way to stop it is to refuse to look away from the truth. So, as the curtains close on this chapter of the investigative expose, remember that the shiny gold statue is just metal. The real power is in the voice that refuses to be silenced by it. The system thought they won this round, but the conversation they started is one they can't control. And that, my friends, is the most shocking move of all. Now, we have to ask the final, most provocative question of the night. If you were standing on that stage, with the world watching and a golden statue within your reach, but you had to stay silent while your dignity was insulted, what would you choose? Would you take the gold or would you take the stand? This is the crossroads Michael B. Jordan found himself at, and the choice he made has changed Hollywood forever. Is he the man we thought he was, or just the man the system needed him to be? The debate is only getting started, and your voice is the only thing that can keep the truth alive. Don't let the safe narrative win. Look deeper, ask more, and never settle for the version of the story they want to sell you at the box office. This was the Michael B. Jordan move, and it's a move that will be analyzed for the next 96 years. What side of history are you standing on? Drop those comments and let the real world hear you because the secrets are out, and there's no going back now. Is this progress or just a very expensive repeat of history? D.L. Hughley has laid out the map, and it points to a very uncomfortable destination. We've seen the humiliation ritual, we've seen the safe branding, and we've seen the Oscar win that followed like clockwork. The evidence is overwhelming. The corruption is documented. The abuse of power is televised. Now, the only question left is what we, as an audience, are going to do about it. Are we going to keep supporting the ritual, or are we going to demand a new game with new rules? The spotlight is on us now. Make it count. The truth isn't just out there. It's right here, and it's screaming for your attention. Don't let it fade to black. Stay tuned, stay skeptical, and most importantly, stay loud. Because in a system that thrives on silence, your voice is the most dangerous weapon of all. This is breaking news, this is investigative truth, and this is the end of the line for the safe Hollywood lie. What's your move? This was never just about a movie or a single award. This was about the price of a soul and the hidden contracts that govern the most powerful industry in the world. D.L. Hughley didn't just give us a hot take, he handed us the blueprint to the entire operation. Now that the curtain has been pulled back and the Michael B. Jordan move has been exposed, the real question is staring you right in the face. Are you okay with your icons being put through a humiliation ritual just to earn a seat at a table that was never meant for them? Or is it time we start building our own tables where the price of entry isn't your silence? This investigative journey doesn't end here. The truth is only as powerful as the people who share it. If you are tired of the polished lies and the manufactured firsts that lead to nowhere, then you need to make your voice heard right now. What do you really think about Michael's silence? Was it a genius business play or a devastating cultural surrender? Does that Oscar still look like gold to you? Or can you see the rust underneath? Drop your thoughts in the comments below because the system is watching how we react. If you want more of these deep dive exposes into the scandals they try to bury, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Share this video everywhere before the brand managers try to take it down. We are the only ones holding the line for the truth. Stay tuned, stay woke, and never stop asking the questions they are too afraid to answer.